and welcome to another episode of the Ultra Happy Podcast. I am your host, ultra runner and coach Tania, and my magnificent co-host Andy.
Magnificent co-host, I love it. That's my favourite opener so far.
Before we start, can you just do your breathing works?
Hold on, I would like to make an apology. Especially to
so far, we have two apologies from you in the podcast.
I know that. I feel like it's going to be a part of the podcast now, Andy's apologies. But I would like to make an apology, especially to the Spotify listeners last week, because I realised that for some bizarre reason I was whistling out my nose.
I know.
when I was talking. So I've done my exercises today and everything to clean my nose out. But I just thought I would get that out of the way. Do you know what I mean?
You're good to go this time?
No, all good. Hold on. Right, I'm good to go.
Last breath. All right. So we are 11 weeks away from our first challenge, the Desert Namibia. We discussed this. And 10 days away from the B race, which I'm doing fully geared in marathon over the hills here, local hills here in Scotland. And I was thinking, hopefully the organizers don't mind me running with a massive backpack. They're going to be like, what is this woman doing? Because it's just a marathon and obviously there's plenty of checkpoints. And obviously I've been going to these races before. So like everyone's going to show up with like a tiny backpack.
Yeah,
and
one in a normal running backpack.
And then it's going to be like a beast in the back.
You're going to look like a hiker.
I know, sorry. I hope they don't mind. But yeah, we decided to make a cool weekend out of that race. So we booked a nice hotel close to the venue and
able to take a dog and stuff.
Yeah. We found a hotel that was able to take a dog, and they have a pool and a sauna and all that. So yeah, even though the race is close home, I just decided, you know what, we can make the weekend and I can sleep a little bit more in the day of the race, and you can have a place where to stay for the rest for the next.
Hang about for 8 hours.
Yeah, like otherwise, what are you going to do for 8 hours? Yeah. You know, like I will go back to the start or to see you in 4 hours, hopefully. So it's a two-loop.
I'll bring a waffle willer.
I was going to say, are you going to bring your waffle this time and the dog?
After that last time, you'll never.
I don't know if I want to see you though. Like, I feel like because it is like I am preparing obviously for a self-supported long distance. Yep. I kind of want to be self-supported, but also I really would like to see you guys because that always, cheers me up a little bit. And I know it's going to be hard because so far I've only done 3.5, 4 hours with a backpack. This is going to be twice as long. So I am a bit,
Well, let me know as soon as possible so me and the dog can go for a pint.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, we'll discuss that. But yeah, I'm ready, like I said, for 8 hours. That would be the longest I would be walking, hiking, moving with a backpack. So far, like I said, 4 hours, 4 hour and a half. And I have to say, I did struggle with 4 hours. The day that I did 4 hours and a half, at hour 4, my back was already screaming. So it would be.
That's what you've been talking about a lot. It's your back that you're finding the issue with, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's good doing this pre-training.
I know the legs are there. Yep. Like the mind, again, as we talked about, I think it's there and it will switch on. But the back is definitely an issue. Not an issue, but it's something that I need to start getting used to. So yeah, definitely.
I think we spoke about it in the last podcast, but this is great because there's a bit of pressure on you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to have to move quicker. You're going to have to get your brain into race mode, if that makes sense. Yeah. Whereas just doing it, I don't want to say just doing it out in the mountains isn't as easy, but you know what I mean? You've got a bit of pressure on you. So that
when I just go training, I'm like, I can take my time and I don't really mind. And if there's a hill, I walk it a little bit. But now this race, I have a time limit. So it's 4 hours for a half. And then obviously you need to do another loop for the full. So that's another, they're giving you 4.5 for the second loop. So that is great because obviously by that time probably we'll move even slower. So yeah.
But having said that, your last training that you had done there, you expected it to take you longer.
Yeah.
And you actually completed it really quickly.
I kind of practiced. I wanted to practice if I was going to do the cutoff because I was getting a little bit scared that I was not going to make the cutoff. So I really pushed like the pace a little bit. I mean, pushing the pace for me is not very far, but Oh, sorry, I was going to sneeze, but just got scared. And I did it in less time. Yeah. So I think we're in a good path.
I got a phone call saying, I finished it really quickly.
I know. For me, little wins. Little wins. So we have a really, really, how would I call it? Very personal podcast today. I think we have a couple of announcements, super important ones, and we've been so busy touching other hot topics around the challenge that we really haven't had time to kind of touch in this one. And we've spoken about mental strength, how to work out your mind and get your mental toolkit, to be able to solve the challenges ahead, life challenges, or even, obviously race challenges. We've spoken about how to get to know your challenge or what is the problem, and you need to, know what is the problem or the challenge. So we dig deep in that, like the terrain and the weather and the equipment and the gear and the logistics, all that. We spoke about training last week with amazing coach Sarah that was here sharing it with us. And how to train, also how to get there, how to find your own path, most importantly, that leads something that you love. So that leads to consistency, which is this key for a steady progress. So, and we have so many more topics that we need to touch about. We still have in the bucket gear, logistics, which I still figure it out. So that's why I put them not in the back burner. Just know that we will touch on that. Nutrition is a big one, but I do want to get my nutritionist on the podcast as well. So I am scheduling that. So that's why it's taking us a little bit longer to get that one sorted, but that one's coming as well. But I wanted to bring this one also that is very important. I think it's equally important because it goes hand in hand with your training and goal setting. And I found that life parallels running an ultra. Life is parallel, like running an ultra.
Our life certainly.
Our life is
our life certainly parallels running an ultra.
I know. Well, let me explain. You know how that's the people you choose. It's really important the people that you choose your life to share with. They become your support system, and it's almost like parallel in a race, like your crew that you choose, to be there for you. And I truly believe it's one of the most important aspects to living a truly ultra happy life, enjoying your journey, because the support system that you choose to have around you can make you or break you. Same thing in a race. If you choose, the wrong crew or you don't have a crew, or, it would be a little bit harder to push through when the things get a little bit challenging. So, it's really good to have someone, next to you that, is going to cheer you on and support you. Otherwise, and it's great because you can have great goals. You can be very disciplined. But if the people surrounding you are constantly bringing you down or feeding you the fear of like, oh, don't do that. What if you fail? Oh, don't do it. It's very risky. I believe it would be twice as hard to do something. And maybe sometimes it would maybe not push you to not do it. You would be like,
I'm the opposite. I'm like, yeah, do it. Just make sure you've got insurance.
I know. Just make sure I'm in the title deed.
In fact, funnily, there's been times that you've phoned me, isn't there? And you're like, oh, I can't do this and that. Shut up. Just get it done. Imagine not getting to the finish line or not doing this or not doing that. Exactly. You wake up tomorrow and you're like, right, okay.
You say, you've got this. Yeah. You prepare for this. He is always so supportive. And imagine if you have the wrong people, they will be like, oh, yeah, just forget it. It's not worth it. Just
get up the road, make it done.
Yeah, let's go. So apart from being blessed with a very supportive family that we spoke about, I listened to the first episodes when I said that I didn't have anything to hold on to. And I was reflecting on that. Maybe I didn't have any like hardships to hold on to, but they did taught me something super important that maybe since I was little, they taught me that and they educated me on that. So like it was getting like something in my head and really working for it. So for example, I wanted to go to the nationals and they were so supportive in, getting me, taking me to the trainings and taking me to all the swim meets that you need to classify to get to the nationals. So I was putting my work, but also they were very supportive. Or, I wanted a bike, for example, and they were like, well, instead of like just going and buying it for me, they would show me a valuable life lesson.
Yeah. Maybe your dad tell me that story.
Yeah, and he's like, well, you need to figure it out. So I sold candies in school, posters, when there was like a trendy thing to have posters.
Who were the posters you were selling?
So,
Who were the posters you were selling?
Titanic. It was Titanic. It was hot in that moment. And it was
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Dawson's Creek. Remember
Dawson's
that
Creek,
show?
Yeah.
So I remember I would walk in their classroom and I'd be like, I would go to the place that sells the posters. I will pick one or two like demos and I will show them like, oh, there is this. And then you want to place your order. So I will place orders. And the weekend I will go with my mom. Same thing. They're very supportive. They take me because it was very far from where we live actually. So you have to drive like 30 or 40 minutes. But she preferred to do that to teach me like, we're going to go and get them. And then you're going to, she could have just gone buy me the bike. Or buy me, I think there was like these really cool set of coloring book that I wanted. Same story. I had to like work for it. So with those little things that they show me, like, hey, you want something, you can work with, with a little bit of direction and work. Not always hard work. I'm not a big fan of the go hard or go home. Just steady, consistent work and the right steps to the right direction. You can definitely get whatever you want to get. And because I feel like there's so many people going nowhere very fast.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that it's important, like in this conversation, that like that not going very far, very fast. I think that to put things into perspective, running an ultra race, it's not about doing it fast, is it? It's not about.
Same thing.
It's actually about following the process and following the plan and. You've got that plan, you've got that objective, you've got the organisation to think about getting from each step to each step.
And knowing that will take time because obviously I didn't buy the bike right away. It took me like 6 months of like going and selling my candies and my posters.
Titanic posters,
Dawson's Creek posters. There was a lot of candies to sell to get there. So I didn't have my bike immediately. And actually, super funny story, I got the bike and I never rode it. So I was so tired. I just wanted it. Like that wasn't the golden nugget for me. I was like, I wanted to know that I can buy it. And then I got it and never rode bike or never ride it. And I actually don't know how to ride a bike until this day. I think you taught me in like London one day.
Yeah.
But until we met, I've never really went into a bike or nothing. So it's a funny story. So yeah, I worked my ass off for a bike and I never rode it. So yeah, and I said it was going to be a very personal podcast because we're going to talk a little bit how we met. And I met Andy over 8 years ago. And I knew very much what I wanted in life in that moment. And when I was looking for a partner, it what kind of like made it easy for me to choose, like easy, in quotes, to look. And the world also weirdly conspired to put us in the same path. But I was looking for someone like you. Exactly. I know it's going to sound so cheesy there.
You had a list. Remember you told me you had a list.
I was going to say I did had a list. Like, and it was very specific. You had a list as well.
Yeah.
You did have what idea of?
Well, see, I mean, the thing is, the reason it was weird is because that I lived in Ireland at the time, and I was fortunate enough that I was able to leave work and go travelling with a couple of the boys. And it's funny, I just came out of a relationship, and I said to everyone, I do not want to meet anyone, because I think my relationship was 2.5 years, around about that time. Don't want to meet anyone. I just want to go and enjoy the travelling. And we went to Cuba, then we went to Mexico, and boom.
Hello.
Met you, my absolute love of my life. Tacos.
I was going to say, oh my God, you never said that.
Tacos al pastor.
Oh, there you go. That makes much more sense.
But it's like we were saying, I think that...
but you knew you wanted...
The thing is, see, ever since I was... I can't believe I'm saying this. Ever since I was young, And I don't know it's because whether I was in love with Gloria Estefan or not when I was younger.
Okay, there's a reason.
I always had in my head that I would I would end up with a Latina. I actually thought it was going to be someone from Spain because I had this belief that I was going to maybe move to Barcelona. Like I've been in Barcelona.
You wanted someone to speak Spanish.
9 times. But I had it in my head ever since a young age that I knew I was going to be with a Latina. I even told my mum and all my friends and all that. They would always laugh and stuff.
Funny.
But yeah, but the funny thing is I would never have expected it to be Mexico. Do you know what I mean? And bizarrely, I was oddly attracted to when going travelling because the boys had asked me where do you want to go, and they were travelling through the States, and I'd went over to meet them in the States and done a bit with them, and then I said no, I want to do Central America and South America. I know Mexico, to be correct, is still North America, but I wanted to do that and work down because I've always been interested in it as well. So yeah. So
you kind of had that picture in your head, like, I would like to, or that would be my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
You know, let's call it a goal.
Yeah.
Like, that's my ultimate idea. It was funny because I did have something
you had a very particular list.
And it was so funny because I was actually having that conversation with my mom like 3 weeks before I met you. I had the list for many years before, but I never said it like out loud just because it was just a conversation that I was having with my mom. And my mom is my best friend, absolutely my best friend. So she was asking like, oh my God, when are you going to have a boyfriend? Like, when are you going to Latin moms, like, when are you going to get out?
Get you married?
And I was like, well, you know what? I have a list. And if it doesn't fill all the list, like if it doesn't tick all the boxes, I'm not going because my life right now, I was very happy, in the place where I was. Like it would have to take all this to take me away from or move me from where I am right now. And it was like very detailed, very, very detailed. I wanted someone, funny enough, that spoke English, but I said I don't want anyone like not from America, not North America.
Sorry, people from the States.
Sorry, people from the States. I came back from Chicago, so I knew I didn't like. I don't know. I was not. Yeah, no. But I do find myself sometimes I can better word my ideas in English than in Spanish. It's very weird.
A bit better.
Yeah. So I said, I would like someone to speak English. I would like to speak English, but I don't want it to be American. I even said, what's the other one? I want someone with tattoos because I said, I like tattoos. That's, I even said want someone with beard.
I think I was born with a beard, to be fair.
It was very particular. Even values, I said I want someone that
similar to you,
that my household, that my parents are still together. No shame with the people that obviously their parents broke, they're separated or divorced. But in my head, I wanted someone that knew how hard it was.
Parents were together and one sibling, which is exactly what I've got.
Exactly, and it was I just wanted that house that he knows how hard work is to keep a relationship like forever, and those kind of like details that they were very detailed. So I was like, if this person doesn't feel all the tick boxes, I'm not, And 3 weeks later, literally 3 weeks later, Andy crossed paths with me, and but
and actually seeing hindsight as well when you think about it, actually it was a bit of madness as well because when I'd met you, I was going straight to Peru, and I flew to Peru, and literally within a week of getting to Peru, I flew back to meet you. Mm-hmm. And we
started like chatting.
We were 5 days together it was, and then I flew back to Peru, and then it was about another few months down the line that when I got to Rio, I had said I would need to go back and see her, and I came back to see you from Rio. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. And so that it wasn't like it was easy as well.
No.
We made it.
You put your effort.
It work. Yeah, we actually made it work, which is.
But what the example was that I knew what I wanted, and that's why I think I was asking the right questions. Like we had the right conversations, because since day one we start, realizing that this person is going to the same place. Maybe if I didn't know where I wanted in life at that point. Maybe you would have passed. Maybe I wouldn't have the conversations. Maybe we wouldn't have, if you don't know where you're going, like I don't know where you're going either. So we would be just, and maybe I would have passed that great opportunity of of a lifetime.
I think it's strange that we were pulled together, especially from across the world. But even more so, I think it's strange that we've got the same values and the same thought process.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in a previous podcast about the start line and the finish line. Our start line is exactly the same, and our finish line's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Even though you're doing the ultra, you're doing ultras, and we are drawing parallels from our life to that. It is bizarre when you think about it.
I know. That's why I always saw it as like the funniest story. So obviously with that life skill that I developed that life skill, I think, through the years, like really developing like what do you want and then just shoot for that and then just keep that in sight. I found that it worked. So I kept it, and I now apply the same thing to what I do, which is obviously running and challenges. So I know what I want to do or what I want to achieve, and then I roughly make a plan. I say roughly because you do have to know that you have to be flexible with your training, even with your plan, with life, because
there's a lot of curveballs.
There's going to be a lot of curveballs, and it's like when you see the top of the mountain, and that happens to me a lot when I go hiking or walking or hill walking. I see the top of the mountain and I'm down here in the bottom looking at the top and saying, how the hell am I going to get up there? Like, obviously you can't see a path because you're really far away. And let's say I can't see the path. And as you start walking towards it, you start seeing the path. And let's call that life opportunities. So, and as you get closer, you start seeing the path and you start saying like, and then it starts to arise. It
starts opening up.
Yeah, exactly. You start like arising, and with that, that with a steady pace, you will eventually get to the top, and maybe times where you need to go around, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of curveballs, or, even in a race, like sometimes, my stomach is not feeling good. I had this nutrition plan, but it's not working, and you have to really quickly, turn and deviate a little bit, but the finish line is in that direction. And same thing with life, even though if it's, if the path is a little bit rocky and stuff, you just need to, the top hasn't changed. It hasn't moved. The
finish line's still there.
We just need to figure out ways to get to the same place. And also, again, doing something that you enjoy, because what is the point of getting there if you're going to be miserable on the way there? So, so when I met Andy, I think right away, we were, like I said, we had the same kind of like train of thought. And then we right away made like a short, medium, like a long-term life plan. We kind of knew that, let's say, that top or that finish line, just kind of put it in parallel of a race or a training. We knew where the finish line we wanted. And we based all our decisions as couple. We've found all those decisions, all the decisions that we had to make through life, we made sure that fit that ultimate goal, because that is the path, we can see it. And if someone's going to push us, and life is going to try to pull you, different direction. There's these opportunities, which we had a couple of times, and we're like, no, you know what? I can't because it doesn't fit. Or even, for example, kids, we have the conversation like, we want this life, and kids really don't fit in our journey. Is that okay with you? And, all that conversations, financial, everything. So the ultimate goal, that's what I was saying. It was a very personal podcast today, because our ultimate goal, our top mountain top, right, it's ours. Everyone is going to have their own, and we are opening our life to you all. Always has been, as a couple, to live somewhere with a beach.
Yeah,
with
I've always wanted to live by a beach and a coast, and I've always liked the idea of that city life.
Yeah,
that city life, beach life. Yeah, marina life. It's I guess it's the dream, isn't it? Somewhere hot and warm.
Well, not for everyone, though. There are people that they would love to be in the mountains in the snow.
I was with Barcelona for some reason.
Well,
but yeah.
So something with beach, with Sibiu, like you were saying, like a little bit of city life with with this beach coast kind of living, be financially independent to allow us to travel, because that is really high in our priorities. We love to travel. That's how we met, and that's what we do. And we really love to experience different places, and also obviously allow me to spend time doing what I love to do, which is running and exploring. And that's for us, again, the top of the mountain, right? That's where, we started climbing. We started walking 8 years ago.
Well, no, actually, what had happened was I remember that after if you remember right, what happened is you came over for Christmas after I'd finished the travelling, and we'd just after you went back home to Mexico, we made the decision, right, we're going to be together. We're going to have to figure it out. So for a couple of years, what we had done is you'd came back and forth to Glasgow,
yeah,
remember?
I was living here 6 months and
Yeah.
then going back, as only the tourist visa only allows you to be here 6 months.
And then we decided, right, okay, you're going to move over. And I guess it was kind of the end goal anyway, and we'd actually made the plan of, right, okay, well, if you're going to do that and you're going to come over here.
And we didn't know how we were going to get, again, to the top. Like, we want eventually to be somewhere, like I said, and we didn't know how it was going to work. But what we
did say is we said that we'll do 5 years in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And we'll do that 5 years in Glasgow. And while we're doing that 5 years in Glasgow, what we'll do is we'll plan what that future looks like. We had already discussed that we loved the idea of staying at like coastal beach area.
But we didn't know.
We already discussed at that point that we didn't want kids, but we knew that we had to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but we didn't have. We didn't know how we're going to get there. We had no idea. Andy just came back from his travel, so he didn't have a job at that moment. I was just coming back from studies in Chicago, and I was traveling back and forth to see you. So I wasn't working either at that moment. So we didn't know how.
In fact, I spent 6 months in Mexico as well.
Oh yeah, you lived in Mexico as well before you moved definitely here. So we were trying to figure out how to. Exactly. So that's absolutely fine to take your time, and kind of like, that's, I think that's where we were like planning, like, the part of the race or the part of the route when you're like planning, like, how am I going to attack this challenge? How are we going to make it work?
Yep. And it's like, actually, see when I'm talking about it there and I'm thinking about it, it is like the pre-race.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
we sit down.
It's like the pre-race of what you're doing is you're thinking, right, okay, logistically, this is not great because we stay opposite ends of the world.
Yeah.
We have to figure out how we're going to make that work. But not only that, I was over there, you were over here. How is that going to work? Then you have to figure about the planning to get to the next step. How do we get to the next step, which was getting you over here, which was included the visa and different things. And then once you were here and we were getting into that stage of getting in amongst it all, that's the race start.
Mm-hmm.
And in amongst that, that's where the curveballs have been and how we've managed to navigate them through. For me, actually, the more I'm talking about it, the more I can see the parallel between the racing.
It's very, that's what I was saying. I think at the beginning when I told him how I wanted to start this episode, you were not sure. You were like, how is that? And I started talking to you because we have just bullet points here, guys, and we just start discussing it. And I think, you're coming around with the idea of how, and I feel like it's so similar. And same thing as a race, like you were saying, like, you know where you want to go. Obviously you have, the end there, but at the beginning, you don't know how the route is going to be. You have an idea, rough idea, but you don't know if you have usually in a race, you have the ultimate, like the altitude plan, like you have the map, but you don't know the race map, but you don't know if that's going to be rocky or muddy or, like sometimes you see a map, you don't know if it's going to be hilly. Well, it's hilly, but you don't know the conditions of that hill, or you don't even know the weather in that moment, So there's so many curveballs. So what it helps in that moment is knowing, like, hey, just don't lose focus in that end goal. And it's the same as having the life crew conversation that I was saying. Like, otherwise, what if I would say, like, hey, let's not do that. Let's just stay here.
Yeah.
Like but in the other side, I'm like always cheering you. Yeah. You're always cheering me in what I do, for example. And it's really important to have that support system around you. And I want to say, I think, what is it, last year, you made an important decision that to support our path.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I think that we talked about the 5 years thing, and that's quite an important part of what we're talking about here, is that I had made the promise to you that we would be here 5 years, and then what we would do is we would move on to what it is that we wanted to do next, which for us actually at the time was moving to Mexico, because that was part of the plan, and I'm sure we'll discuss that in a minute. But I was in a job that actually I loved.
here in Glasgow.
In Glasgow, yeah, and it was very secure. I had great friends there. I mean, I worked, well, you know yourself, I worked sort of with major brands.
How long
things
were you
like
there?
that. I was there for 8 years. I was 8 years.
I even
was there
love
for.
that.
Yeah, I know.
So I get
But I love my job
freebies.
mostly. But I think for us, luckily we managed to get to a place where we could be self-sufficient. And
It's because we played our cards
played the
very,
cards
very,
right,
very
yeah.
smartly. Again, because we knew where we were going, we were able to move the cards very, make it. And I really have as well really good mentors. My family is really good with investments, and you know how to move your money so you can be financially stable. And we were able to move those cards.
We were fortunate that we were able to do the right things at the right time.
Yeah, that's important.
I think that.
But that's another chat. If you didn't know where you're going, you maybe would have seen past a lot of those opportunities and don't grab them because you're like, oh, I'm okay. I'm working here. I'm comfortable. And you would have never seen them as opportunities. But because we knew we needed to move forward there.
Because we had the vision.
When you see the opportunities, we were like, let's grab that because that is going to help us to move forward, or let go opportunities, because I had opportunities that I had to let go because it didn't really fit. Like, I don't want to build a lot of roots here because I know where we're going. So I know it was an end plan at 5 years. So I didn't enroll myself a lot here because I said, I don't want to, build something or create, get a job here maybe, because I thought, I'm going to leave. And
But going back to that, you and I had a discussion about, right, okay, you're obviously getting deeper into this ultra race situation, and the training was up. There was a lot of things happening on that side. And we had a very difficult conversation because I didn't want to leave my work, and we decided I would go. I would give up that job, and then I would concentrate on other aspects of what we were doing, the business side of it, which would allow you the time to go and actually
pursue
what you want to do.
And I want to say,
but funnily as it turns out now, like I'm literally just a handyman, a dog feeder, and a dishwasher. Which is fine.
That's
No, I'm kidding.
No, I want to say how appreciative I am for your sacrifice. You sacrificing your job that I know you loved, and to support me in taking that leap, because I know it was so hard for him. It was so hard for someone that
took
asking,
a year of convincing, didn't it?
Yeah, it was hard leap because you're a person that works. Like you've been working since you were 4. Yeah. So for me to ask like, hey, just stop working and just support me here, because I was, like I said, we were having a lot of things at the same time, and for you to take the leap and say, okay, I'll take charge of this so you can go and do the other things. But that also worked because, again, these things that we were working on building, it would help us more to get to the ideal place that we were talking, or the top, or how we're calling it, the end, like the top of the mountain for us. So that, again, it was very not easy, the decision, but it was easy. Like, I think it was easy for you to see, not easy, but you could see that, hey, this decision is going to help us both in getting
it had to become part of the plan at some point.
Yeah.
Because if we had the 5-year plan, it wouldn't matter whether it was whatever time it was. It would have to have happened at some point. And I think I came to that realisation, but also I kind of seen that how much you were invested in ultra running now, you know, And as well as that, from the crewing perspective, I mean, there was races I couldn't do because of work, so I couldn't crew you on them. And I actually,
It was heartbreaking.
yeah, and I wanted to come in and support you as well. So it was difficult trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
Whereas now, you know, like it's worked out well, but it's all for the ultimate finish line, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So, and because of that, right. And then it's funny how when you start making the right moves and the right decisions and everything kind of helps. The world starts kind of like moving towards that because you were able to leave work and you were able to start traveling with me and going crewing and all that. Should I just start saying, should I start this story, how we came around? So the last race in Jordan, it was just obviously a race. They couldn't go and crew me because it's obviously, you know, it was a stage race. So you're not allowed to bring, you know, crew. They have their own people and all that. But once the race was finished, I was going to meet my parents. You were going to do the travel as well to meet me in Jordan. Back to that conversation, you wouldn't have gone if you were, working. So it was really good that you weren't already taking, and then also because you were taking charge of the other areas, I was able to do my race as well because I had to disappear for 5 days. So I was like, there's no phones, no connection, no nothing. So you're absolutely like erased from the world. And I wouldn't have done that either. I wouldn't be able to do it if you were not, you take charge. He absolutely takes charge on those 5 days. You were in charge of everything. So that gives me a lot of peace because I can really concentrate and really enjoy my 5 days in the desert. It was great to not think like, oh my God, I hope they're doing good, or I hope I didn't forget something. Like I know he was there on top of everything. Anyway, so when the Jordan race finished, we were going to spend a couple of days in Jordan, just kind of obviously go and see Petra because my mom wanted to go and see it. She was very excited. So we bought a tour that it was Petra and days in Jordan, and then we were going to transfer to Israel because we wanted to go to Israel as well. So that was the plan. Obviously the day came and we were in Jordan. We were finishing our tour in Jordan. We were about to go to Israel.
Well, actually, remember I was flying out from London to Jordan to meet you, and literally I got from Glasgow to London Heathrow, and I sat down to have a bite to eat, and this was like at 7 in the morning. It came up that Israel went to war. Obviously terrible news all round for that. But when I got there, I said to you, Israel's went to war. And you're like, I spoke to the tour guide, said it'll be fine, it happens all the time.
I know.
And I was like,
well, they are used to those. They're used to those things, so they thought, oh, you know what, it's going to go. But obviously, that didn't happen.
And then as we got closer to the finishing of the Jordan tour, we were speaking to the tour guide, and they were saying, no, I don't think it's going to happen. So remember, we very quickly got flights somewhere that we all wanted to go and was close.
We were sitting down because my parents are there, and my parents even thought, oh, we're just going to go back home. Like, we don't know what to do. And we said, we sat down in our hotel, and we're like, we're not going.
That's right. We went for a walk and we said that.
Take your iPad out and we'll figure it out. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not just going back home. Like, no. So I'm already here, and my parents were already there as well. They traveled like over 24 hours to get to that side of the world. So, I was like, I'm not going home just after 3 days with you guys. So we grabbed your iPad, we sat down, and we checked flights that were going out, everywhere. And we found that Dubai was a short, flight from Jordan, and short-ish, So it was a cool place that we had, in our books anyways. And just like that, we decided to book a flight, and off we go. All my family, you, me, off to Dubai. Nothing, we didn't have anything planned, nothing booked. So we had to just kind of like free solo it, just like that. It was wing it, which it was great. We, it was a great to do it that way as well. We're quite good now because we've traveled a fair bit, so we're really good in moving around, around and making reservations for things. Like we're quite fast and good at that. So after that trip,
this is Tania's big announcement. Our big announcement, I guess.
No.
Is that actually when we were there in Dubai, you may have heard us talk about in the past that we had planned to go to Mexico. We had already that was a 5-year plan ultimately, that we would move to Mexico and in fact move to Playa del Carmen. And we were over there a few months prior. We had found a house. We were in the process of, we'd put an offer in for it. We were in the process of getting through it. And we were in Dubai at the time, and Tania had said to me, I love it here. It feels different.
It has like everything that we would like we spoke about. It has like the beach, sunny. You have a little bit of a mix of the city that you wanted with the beach life.
Yeah.
So
and I think the opportunities there as well are pretty good. And actually, I said to Tania as well at the time, I like it here. At no point thinking that we were definitely thinking of doing it.
And that's an option.
And then when we got back to Glasgow, we talked about it more and we decided that
maybe we
should to move to Dubai.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe you just say it. Announce it just like that.
But I think that
just Cam just back there. The producer back there I heard
we fall off a chair.
Are you okay? You fell off the chair? No.
But the funny thing is we often talk about things that are meant to happen as well. Is that when we were looking to buy the house in Mexico, in Playa del Carmen in Mexico, there was some strange things happening. It was like it was getting so there but not getting there, and it was the guy was being really difficult, and
it was taking a long time to answer. And because of that, we didn't close.
And actually, we were pretty close to closing if it wasn't for
the guy being
a bit funny with it, and that was what pushed us to make the decision to go.
If he would have been a normal closing, a normal sale, it would have been done, and
we would be having a different conversation right now.
So it's just funny how the life kind of adjusted.
But that was a bit strange as well. We talked about weird things earlier on that happened that have filtered into our life. That's been a bit
and
strange.
how we met as well, how we met. Even though you say, "Oh, I have a list," it's just
and it's all. I think that we were talking about today, and we talk quite a lot about the path that you're on at. Obviously, your path's an ultra run. My path is walking to the shops. but that path does throw you different things and different challenges that you need to meet, or you need to change, or you need to adapt, or you need to move.
Yeah. And you need someone next to you that is going to support you. And maybe my path needs a little bit more of support, but that's good, because that's what my parents say all the time: the yin and the yang. A little bit like one person has to be that has to be a little bit more going on, or I need a little bit more support. And Andy is the person that makes that happen. Like, and the ultimate thing is like we're going together. Maybe I need a little bit more support because I have more things in my plate.
Or as me and your dad say, but you're the crazy one, I'm the calm one.
I know. It's the same thing with my parents. They have one crazy one and then one calm one. And there's one same thing with your parents. But I think that shows you that is, it does work, well, it does work, and it's the same thing like a crew. When you're in a race, you need someone that is obviously running, and you have someone that is there as a support, right? Yeah. And it's not that one job is harder or easier than the other one. There two have their place on the whole race. Let's call it the race of life, or the race of an ultra race. I think each one has their own responsibilities, and if each one does the job or support each other, because ultimately we support each other, then you eventually will get there to to the ultimate. But it's really important for that in the race or in the race of life to know where you're going. So that's why I was very paired with the objectives that you have. We have that objective in our life, and in running, for example, I have the objective of I want to go further. There's people that may want to go faster. In my case, I want to go further. So every year I try to just a tiny bit further. Or I seen the big challenge of Cocodona 250 that was there, but I thought maybe that doesn't mean that I'm going to ditch it. I'm just going to work. Like, how can I path my way? How can I find the way to get there? So it's the same thing with life as well.
Yeah. I think we've talked in every podcast so far about planning and consistency.
Yeah.
And it's funny how that and reflection fits into everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like those races, your planning is at the beginning, and that would have been our discussion in the beginning, in the first fight, right at the beginning. And then the planning that's within that, and the curveballs you have to face, and the movement and the change.
You want to get to the race as a coach, for example, right? When I train an athlete or myself, I want to get to the race as fit and as prepared as possible. Same thing with this.
Yeah, because we had the list of the things that we had to do within the 5 years to get to the point
we're like, we know this, right? Because we know also that there's going to be challenges along the road or curveballs or things that are not going to work. Same thing in a race, or, like you may have the best plan, but maybe your stomach that day decided to have a bad day and you start throwing up. That has happened. And, you need to... that not because of that, maybe you stop, but, to know how to work around it, be like, just so you're not as surprised. There's going to be plenty of surprises, but you want to be as prepared as possible if in case that comes. So that's what we did. We have a plan and we're shooting for it. Clearly. So it was easy it was not easy, but it was, again, it was like, hey, you know what? This place is sort of has everything that we're looking for. Yeah. And again, thank you for taking the jump to dive in.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
I think we would have made it work.
I think that you spoke about the crew.
Yeah.
And what it is that they do. And again, I can see the parallels of the crew and life. That makes sense, as well as the race in life. Just interested in the finish line now. Do you know what I mean? And what that looks like.
I'm tired already.
But you know what I mean? I'm interested in the finish line, and I'm also interested. I think that going to Dubai will open up other doors, in particular for your running. And I mean, you're. It's amazing that you're doing all these things. Yeah, I mean, like Jordan, obviously 100 mile and all the races before were good, but I think that the 100 miler was a milestone.
Yeah.
Jordan was a milestone.
Yeah.
The 5 deserts, each one will be a milestone on their own, but it's all going to that finished plan. It's that end of getting to Cocodona and being able to do that.
Right now it will be that one, yeah.
The worrying thing for me is what's after Cocodona. Racing the moon.
Trust me, I've thought about that as well.
Racing the moon?
No, but it's going to happen after. I don't want to think about that because that freaks me out. Yeah. I think that happened when I finished. That's why I think I was self-sabotaging. I know you don't like that word, but I think that's why I self-sabotage a lot of my 100 milers, because I was scared of what's going to happen after. So because I didn't have like a goal after, I was like, I don't want to finish this because I will be so lost if I finish this. So this last year, because I had Jordan and I was looking into the stage races by that time, I feel like I was like, I have a reason to finish because I want to keep going to the next challenge. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Always kind of like, even though you have a goal, you always have another one just slightly up there. Like you can still see a little bit, but just to keep you motivated. Because I feel also if your goal or your plan is not challenging enough, it's not going to keep you, Yeah,
and I think you've got to stay focused as well, because actually, even if you refer it back to what you're doing just now in this race that you're doing, the pre-race, the ultramarathon, things like that, all those steps, you have to keep an eye on that, because that is you starting to unpick the lock for the next stage, if that makes sense. So again, you can draw the comparisons on what we're doing. I mean, we're picking the lock each time to get to the next stage.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how. So just don't be failing. now on this ultra marathon thing because we don't want another. We don't want another hurdle.
But yeah, exactly. It's just very paralleled as you can see now, hopefully. And I think once I started running, I started like you were saying, like all these skills that I developed maybe in running a little bit more, they kind of start like going into my life.
Like they're adaptable to life.
Yeah. And then you start like saying, oh, or for example, the patience thing. I feel like maybe I'm not too patient in life, but I get better. Like I'm getting better at it. Like I know, I'm not going to maybe 8 years ago, we had the idea again to move to somewhere. And maybe it was not an immediate. I knew that it was going to take time. And that's patience. We knew that it was not going to happen because, again, we had no idea how we were going to get there. Eventually, we worked ourselves to get to that place that we can do the move and work towards that finish line. But
like you said, before this podcast and when we were talking about it, I was saying to you, I don't really know how this is going to relate. Do you know what I mean? I think that
I was like, just come here and chat with me. I'll teach you. I'll show you.
too cautious, really. I guess that it might be a bit. It's not really relative or whatever. But actually, the more we're talking about, the more I see that. Actually, all those steps, it's how you plan it from the start. It's like you almost planning out your backpack, or you planning out what trainers you're going to wear, or what running shoes, or what the clothes going to be, and what that's going to look like throughout.
And the people you want to have around again, And I know you said that in the first episode that you said, "Oh, you have no many friends."
No, I never said you don't have many friends. I said you find it difficult to make friends.
And maybe that goes a little bit hand in hand here. I am a loner, definitely. And just because obviously I spend a lot of time in my head, as you know. And I was thinking as well, when you said that, I was like, that is right. Like, why is that? And I was trying to get into myself, like, having that conversation with myself. What do you think is that? Because I'm aware of it, obviously. And I think it's because it goes back to this. I am so affixated, is that the word, with the goal, like with what I'm going, and I'm working and I'm so busy making like this path that I don't really have the time. And it's not to sound, oh my God, but it's true. Like sometimes I'm too tired because I've been working or doing my training, or we truly are too busy with the projects that we've created in this path that I don't have the time or the energy, or I forget to reply a message. And I have the worst memory. I don't have the memory or the time or anything to reply to these people or like really cultivate friendships. So I think that's why.
Also because you moved. I kind of always put it down to the fact that you moved about a lot. I think you moved a lot, and you forged some friendships with groups of people, not really.
But you can keep in touch though, even though you move around. And now with more with the technology, you could send a message. But I'm really terrible at that. And it's not like people out there probably it's not that I'm not friendly. I'm the friendliest person. If you come and talk to me, I am super friendly. I love to talk to people. And you'll see me probably, I had a lot of podcasts that I've been invited now. I love to speak. I love really to relate. I love to motivate if I can, inspire if I can. But I truly really bad. And I think it's the point cultivating, because I don't have.
It's because you're always thinking of what's next for dinner.
Exactly. So concentrated in food.
Always what's next for food.
By the way, these 2 weeks, it's been a struggle. I've been struggling. I've been so hungry. Yeah. Well, anyway, but yeah, exactly. Maybe that's because, or I'm tired, or you know what I mean? Like, and the few times that we just want to spend it, maybe just relaxing, because it's been
a bit hectic.
It's been a bit wild. So I think that's one of the reasons that going back, and I'm not saying be a loner and be only in your goals, but I think also once you're pretty focused, maybe you're going to have a couple people jumping in, and if they're going to help you and they're going to support you, they're more than welcome. But if not, really, like, just push everything away. Just, don't waste your time maybe in like with people that maybe are not supportive. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I think that it can be doing different things. I mean,
Supporting in life, not only in running, obviously.
If you look at if you look at a race, for example, you are in need of your crew, but you appreciate supporters.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. If you're coming here to support and cheer on, yeah, absolutely, I'm in for that. But you're here to say, oh, don't go running because that's bad for your knees. And every time you see me, you're like, oh, stop running. Oh, and then, like, maybe I wouldn't like to cultivate a friendship with you because you're going the different path, or you're telling me that you don't work out because you don't have time and you are building up excuses. I am not a fan of that kind of people, because if you have the victim mentality, or if you are doing excuses for everything, I'm not going to disrespect you, but I'm not going to it's not kind of the people I would have around, just because it's not the way I am or the way I think. So I don't know how we can be friends. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have anything in common. Like, what other things can we have? So I find that difficult to navigate, maybe, or maybe it's just my head. Please let me know. But it's really difficult. Or if you find yourself maybe difficult to navigate friendships around that, maybe, have that conversation with yourself. Like, what is it? But yeah, going back to it, I thought it was because I'm so hyper focused in what we hear, and it has worked, and we're going to Dubai.
Yeah.
So on top of all the stress that we have to manage, obviously 5 trips, 5 deserts, training, gear, all that, we need to put on top of that the moving to Dubai
because
topic.
We get to Dubai. And 3 weeks later,
oh yeah, 3 weeks later is
you're
my
away on your first race.
desert. Yeah, but to get to Dubai is going to be super fun. We can also share once we get there. That's why we wanted to do a YouTube video podcast, because right now maybe it's a bit boring just to see us sitting here. But the plan is that we're going to show you what is all that is going to be going on out there. So yeah, just bear with us. That's what. And I didn't want the YouTube just to be like suddenly we're in Dubai. Like, I wanted everyone to have a little bit of have the context. So yeah, right now it's very boring. We're just seeing, you're looking at us if you're seeing YouTube, just sitting here. But I promise, and the people in Spotify, you want to go in YouTube later on. We'll tell you when. Yeah. When it's a cool, we'll show you definitely Dubai and how we're doing the moving, because obviously it's going to be very stressful. What I was saying is we need to plan a whole move, so lots of traveling.
Yeah, but we'll do that in exactly the same ways we do everything.
Exactly.
Say, like the race, we'll plan it, how we're going to do it, how it's going to work.
Yeah. Even the dog has to go as well. That is a little bit stressful.
We were going to bring him today, but he wasn't very well.
He wanted to share the news as well. He was very excited to go into Dubai, but he was not feeling great.
I don't know if he is.
He was a bit sore. He's a bit oldie pug. I'll put it in my photos on Instagram. And he's an oldie, and his back was not feeling great. But he was going to come here to share the news as well. As a family, we wanted to share the news. But so yeah, that's happening. So he needed a lot of shots as well, and I need to plan those because they ask you that they need to be certain days before his travel. So I need to time that out as well. So
he's better used to traveling than us, I think. I mean, if you think about it,
he's a Mexican pug.
He's been to Chicago.
He went to Chicago.
He went back to Mexico. Yeah. He has been to Amsterdam. He's been to London, Newcastle, Edinburgh, and lives in Glasgow. And now he's going to Dubai.
He's going to Dubai. His
What a life, huh?
What a life of that freaking dog. So cute. So adorable. Best looking pug ever. And so yeah. So that is going to, again, it definitely was a curveball. We had no plan of going to Dubai. We wanted to go somewhere, like I said, that was our dream, but we thought it was going to be in Mexico, but I guess we're going now to Dubai. So yeah, that's going to be very exciting to share that at the same time as we are sharing the 5 deserts. So we're going to do, once we move over there, obviously we'll set up a nice podcast.
I can't wait to show people you dying in the heat over there training.
I know. That's going to be fun. I think we're going there in a couple of weeks. So yeah, he's going to be following me and just, yeah. And you guys as well.
I'll be on a scooter while you're running.
Oh yeah, they have the scooter thing. Oh guys, I'm so excited to show you. And you guys coming with us, not only now to the deserts, as we said at the beginning, and we're getting ready for the deserts together, but now we're also getting ready to definitely change our life entirely. So I am so excited to share it with you all. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Thank you so much for pressing play, being with us. And I hope you find this one a little bit maybe interesting, reflecting.
Put things into context, definitely.
Reflecting in your life. If you have maybe your goal set, maybe you want to start thinking where you're going, where you want to head, not only in racing or training, but also in maybe a little bit. And if you're making the right choices, training and outside
Planning
training
can be the same.
Planning. And I hope I made you think about this while you're running, while you're working, while you're driving. And hope to see you next week. Yeah, we're going to still be here next week. We're going to still be here.
We've got months ahead of us, so it's fine.
I'll have more updates for the marathon that's coming. Have a wonderful weekend. And remember to keep doing whatever makes you ultra happy.